before I do, the reason I think I decided to do that was because you assisted me in this keynote. Some of you in line brought up something that, I don't know, weirdly, I forgot about, which was we were here, many of us, together a year ago, a couple of months. Actually, no. Whose first VCon is this? Make some noise.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
Whose second VCon is this? And now, please stand up.
Let's go! Woo!
Something I said last year, I forgot about in that rant. Most of us remember that I said go fuck your grandparents and that didn't. But what I forgot was that I asked people who were miserable at their job to stand up and commit to quitting. And I was so emotionally taken aback by how many of you told me in line, and it was just a half a dozen, but fuck, 6 people who told me, many more I know did it, that you did that you did the hardest thing. Woo! And listen, we're about to go into this. Clapping, like quitting your job is not necessarily the right thing 80% of the time.
That's true. Yeah.
That you quit it, and then you told me what happened, and the tears, and the emotion of how much happy you are, which is fundamentally the simplicity of my life. I am desperate for people to be happy, because I'm so happy. And I just know that it's good, and it's worth fighting for at all costs. So, just curious, if you were one of those people, I know you might not even be here, but if you're one of those people that quit last year, and you're happy now, please stand up so I can clap for you. So people can clap for you. By the way, anybody who's contemplating missing fucking T-Pain, you're out of your fucking mind. I don't want to see on Twitter like, oh, we went to dinner in between your keynote, Gary, and we missed T-Pain. Do not fucking miss T-fucking-Pain. I don't want to hear, I've got a flight to get. Cancel that shit. I ask, lights on right now before I go into the talk, if I may ask, and it's very hard to be vulnerable in public, but I ask that you do it. How many people here professional, are unhappy with what they're doing for a living? Please stand up. You fucking liars. I want everybody to clap it up for these people to encourage them. Woo! Is staggering. When you take out the hours of sleep, it becomes astonishing how much it takes up our entire lives. The concept of doing something that's killing you inside, especially for it to pay for your lifestyle when you don't have the humility to take a step backwards in your lifestyle to unlock your happiness, is one of the great mistakes of humanity. And I hope that what we talk about here may unlock some of that happiness. I won't even go as personal into the next round of how many of you are happy in your personal life with your relationships, because I think it's maybe a question too far to have people stand up, especially if you're sitting with that person in the crowd. But I beg, it's the word that comes to mind. I beg for all of you to understand that the number one thing worth fighting for is to be happy. slide. My slide. I have a slide. Let's see. Where the fuck is this slide? Show me a slide. My first ever slide. There it is.
Woo!
One thing that absolutely was obvious to me and has been one of the core strengths of my life is how much adaptability I have. It is no question one of the foundational elements of my professional career. I love, and by the way, let's give a big shout out to Sasha. I'll get to mom later. You always yell at me that mom gets so much credit. I try to give you a moment and you're like, what about mom? Impossible to please. Adaptability. Not to put my father on the spot, because he has so many qualities that I think are dramatically stronger than I. But one of the things that I remember very early in my career was I thought and continue to believe that changing your mind is huge. My dad took a very interesting take on making decisions. He actually, in my mind, blended two things. He's so incredibly honorable and loyal that he sometimes confused that in one man's point of view of meaning that you say something or you do something and then you do it for life.
Yeah.
A kid told me in line that he doesn't want to quit this job that's killing him because he wants to be loyal to his employees, that his coworkers. That's unbelievably admirable. But it's also something that he will regret his whole life in his 80s and 90s. Adaptability is the single core strength that can lead to happiness because it means that you're not scared. All I heard for 3 days in one size or shape or angle was fear. All I heard for 3 days was fear. Different versions of it, in different packages. And the reason that most of you are not adaptable is because you're scared of the outcome. This is very important. It's as important as me telling my friend Glenn to shut up because Victoria's trying to listen and you're bugging the shit out of her. That's me being adaptable in the middle of the keynote. See my man? That's adaptability. I'm really focused, but I'm worried about Victoria right now. And so I adapted in real time. And so I'm telling you, the adaptability that so many of you lack, the inability to change your mind or change, is completely, almost always predicated on your fear of the judgment of people around you on your adjustment. So many of you, because of the way Web3 has navigated over the last 3 years, made outlandishly humongous statements to your friend network and your relatives 3 years ago. For almost all of you, that has not panned out. People early, and people forget. People remember what they want to remember. This is a long process to build anything. Anything meaningful takes tons of time. Adaptability is the drug that can get you through it when you're going through your ups and downs. Adaptability is an incredibly big word. It matters a lot. Like, it's very hard to be adaptable if you are grounded in fear. My question is, what are you so scared of? One of the reasons I talk so much about swimming and bike riding and having your first kiss is because it's a connective thing that all of us went through. Some were more scared of it than others. But once you got over the hump, you weren't scared. So many of you asked me how. Whatever it was, you said how. And I said, in the great words of Allen Iverson, practice. The way you get shit done is by actually doing it. The amount of time spent in this collective room at this conference of contemplating the decision was staggering. When what you're trying to achieve was met with just the action of just fucking doing it. The problem is, You're crippled to do it because you fear the ramifications emotionally. That is something I'm desperately trying to unlock, and I hope that many more of you can achieve. Please fall in love with adaptability. Let's give it up for adaptability.
Woo!
Here for the courageous cock-a-fucking-two.
Woo!
Anybody here who owns a courageous cockatoo makes a noise?
Do I have one?
That little group right there knows it's been 3 long fucking years. We haven't heard a peep about this fucking character. And yet, if you ask me the character that most needs to have shine at the end of Econ 3, it's this. The courage to jump is a really interesting thing for me to think about. It's the cousin to what I was just talking about with fear. I remember going to Jamaica with my friend Joe Minicali, who I'm looking at right now. Much to the chagrin of my mother, if she ever knew this, I remember us standing on top of a cliff in Jamaica, and we needed to jump, because that's what the fuck we were doing. I just remember standing over it and being fascinated by how scary that jump looked. But as I literally jumped off, landed, came back up, the thing I was most fascinated by was, what the fuck, like, went through my head in the moment that triggered me from, fuck this, I'm gonna talk myself out of this, like always, to, I'm gonna jump, right? And it was based on courage. But what you say to yourself when you jump in real life or metaphorically is a very fascinating thing. The thing I say with humility is there's a sheer lack of collective courage at the conference right now. When I look at so many of you, it's just so obvious to me how capable so many of you are to deal with the ramifications. It connects the 2 characters. So many of you need to jump, and you're scared of what will go wrong without realizing what will go wrong will just require adaptability for you to go back. The fear of going backwards after you jumped is something that I am so fascinated by. As if the people in the crowd judging your misstep have anything to actually do with your life. So many of you are crippled to jump into the courage because you're scared that if you lose, you have to go backwards, when in reality, you're already backwards. Do you understand? Oh, you're already fucking backwards. You're already stuck. You want it, and yet you can't jump, and courage should be applauded. Courage needs to be understood, and courage's relationship with adaptability is a very big deal. I promise you, you will never, I promise you, you will never regret your acts of courage, ever. When you go and talk, and so many of you know my spiel here, you know how much I love hanging out with the OGs. When you talk to the people that have actually lived it, their regrets are never their moments of jumping. Their regrets are always the moments they didn't jump. This week I've had the luxury of hanging out with the OGs. Some of them bang Newports like a fucking gangster. And I respect it. But when I tell you what they focus on, and what they understand, and what they see, there's so much power in youth. But the saying of youth is wasted on the young is very true. Experience is incredibly important. Going through the reps. And I just implore all of you, if you leave with any part of this keynote, please take a little courage away from this week and do something. Do something next week that you've been scared to do. Cool? By the way, this might be my best opportunity to do it. Just a little commercial halftime break from this talk. Just a little noise to be made for how Econ 3 was for all of you. fun. Now we gotta take it down a notch. This is one of my favorite characters because in all the rah-rah shit that comes out of my mouth, you can do it. We're gonna do it. And fucking courage. Jump off the fucking cliff. The level of practicality that runs through my body is extraordinary. There is no delusional dinosaur in Beaver's. But after talking for the last 3 days, I might have to draw that shit. Where there is confusion in the subtleties of this message, this mission, this hopes and dreams that I have for you, is yes, like I said earlier, I'd love for you to quit your toxic job. Yes, I'd love for you to do X, Y, and Z. But some of the shit that I heard in line that made absolutely no sense. Like, I'm gonna do this. I'm like, well, tell me about your stability. They're like, I got like a week's worth of runway. I'm like, you're fucking out of your mind. They're like, I'm gonna build an AR company selling Mars tokens, but I got a week's worth of runway. I'm like, who the fuck are you? It's incredibly cool to be courageous. But when I saw my dad's disappointed face looking at my mom when I just told the Cliff story, what he doesn't realize was it was very practical. There was nothing dangerous about it. It was just scary. And that is an incredibly important thing to understand. The things that so many of you fear, the thing that so many of you don't understand, the thing that I see people get it wrong, is so many people are scared of things that are not scary, and then are completely petrified of things that they should be scared of, and instead of being petrified of it, they just jump because they think it's okay. It's called the hippo-shark theory. All of you are scared of sharks. Not all of you, but you know what I mean. Meanwhile, hippos kill way more fucking people a year than sharks. But because we have fucking hungry hippos, we think they're fucking cute.
Yeah.
Hippos are fucking dangerous.
Fucking vicious.
But Jaws came out, scared us, and now we're scared. That's what I see in a lot of you in your career decisions. There's things that you're scared of that are not that scary because you can adapt and just go back if it didn't work out. And then there's things that you are looking to do that have no practicality in them. They have no shot. And that is a very important thing for all people to understand. Do not allow your passions to make you delusional. Practicality is important. There are bills to be paid. I believe that many people who are unhappy can have smaller bills, can lead into other things that can bring it down. But I ask you and I beg you and I implore you to get more practical in some of your decisions. This is why, and I don't have it up here, but this is why there's two patient characters. Patient pig and patient panda allow you to be practiced. If you're willing to eat shit for one more year, then you can actually maybe be practical and go after your dream. Understood?
Yep.
Let's lean into a little bit more practicality.
Woo!
Now here is the fucking counterpoint. At all expenses, full tilt, all in, please, 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 please consider to cash in on your passion. Crush It, my first public business thing outside of wine, the subtitle was How to Cash In on Your Passion. I wrote it in 2008. It came out in 2009. I stayed here 16 years later, as convicted about passion as I was as that young man. Passion is always the bet. Passion is always the right thing to run through the wall for. If you team it up with practicality, it gets really good. If you don't, you usually have to go call in the adaptable alien and go back to a job. This is an incredibly important framework, but so many of you love so many different things, so many different interests. And right now, we live in a social media world. I don't know if you've heard about social media marketing, but I'm into it. It's free. It's free. You post content and it gets distribution and it's free. Of course you can pay someone to make content, I get it, but you can do it for free. And not making content on social media around your passion, your opinions about it, your ideas about it, debating about it, if you're into cooking, cooking, if you're into praying, praying, if you're into cards, not leaning into putting out content that costs you nothing on this current social media world that will go away. One day, the cell phone will look like the pager, like the yellow pages, like the radio. And we are not guaranteed that the advertising platforms of the next medium will be free. The regret that many of you have in the next decade or two for not going all in when social media was free will be very high. The time in your life that so many of you in this audience are in right now is such an opportunity. Please lean into your passion. Please try. Just try. Because fear is what is holding everyone back. Just try. Don't worry about people making fun of you. Don't worry about people judging you. Yep. All the best shit that has ever happened in the world, that changed the world, was laughed at by the people that didn't understand it. Woo! They always laugh, and then they learn. Got it?
Woo! Yeah.
I think some of you know this.
He was gonna be the mascot.
Was the original mascot of VFriends.
Woo!
Andy, are you here? No. Andy, was it the night before, the morning of? Like, when did I change the logo before we launched? Night before. This was the original logo of VFriends for a very specific reason. I am the byproduct of somebody who told me always and every day that I was capable.
Woo! Character's finally getting some love.
Sasha wasn't it. Tamara Vaynerchuk told me, he said, Sasha, you were not the one who told me that I was capable every day. My mother told me I was capable every day. She held me accountable for all the dumb shit I did.
Woo!
Just because this will be really enjoyable when we fly home tonight, can everybody make some noise, preferably more than the noise you made for Sasha for my mother? Come on. Which was through a series of storytelling, digitally and physically, through all the things, many of now that you are seeing, many more because it's early, that we will achieve. I just really want this collective community to leave thinking they're capable. Most of you, some of you, unfortunately my belief is that a majority of you are not byproducts of somebody that told you that you were capable every day. And my guilt and gratitude that I lucked out in having somebody who did motivates me like a fucking monster to do it for everybody else.
Woo!
You know it's weird when you work out and then like if you get more advanced in it or if you work out with somebody, you think that you're done and you can't do it, but you actually have like 17 more fucking reps in you. I think about that shit all the time. Or the cold plunge, you go in and like you don't realize, like your brain does something to protect you. This is the punchline. That it makes you get out way earlier than you're even remotely close to being in trouble.
Yep. Very true.
That's how I feel after these 3 days of talking to so many of you. So many of you are so much more capable than you think, and I can see in your eyes that you don't think you can, and it's so blatantly obvious to me that you can. I just want all of you to know, from the bottom of my heart, you're dramatically more capable than you think you are.
Woo!
You can deal with breakups, job changes, and crazy shit that you never thought you could. This is why I'm always sad when people are complaining about dumb shit. All of us in this room have incredible heartache in front of us. It's the story of life. And becoming comfortable with being uncomfortable and then leading into gratitude in your darkest moments is an incredibly important framework. And so I just hope that you get to fall in love with the capable caterpillar as much as I am.
Woo! Woo!
Who's a humble hedgehog?
Woo!
And the next one? Humble hedgehog. And going back to the last one if you can. I know I haven't made you do that before. And the next one? I think a lot about the characters I chose to do more than one superlative for. There's a reason that there's 2 patient characters, and I think we've done a good job in the first 3 years really giving a lot of love to Patient Pig and Patient Panda. I believe that the biggest thing that is holding back most people is their lack of humility. I am profoundly taken aback by people's ego. We invited so many different people here. I used a lot of my tickets for different people here. So many of them seemingly successful and have so many things. And I watch very carefully. And watching different people navigate different ways because they think they're somebody. Because, what, they have 500,000 followers on Instagram? Who gives a fuck? Fuck you. Humility is an unbelievably beautiful and remarkably powerful trait. I want everybody to hear me nice and slow as I deliver this sentence. When you do not deploy humility, you are posturing. You are deploying ego. You are manipulating. You are dancing around, not physically. When you do that, especially if you're good at it, you can usually trick 50, 60, maybe even 90% of the people. The problem is, when you're doing that, you're also exposing you to the 3, 5, or 10% of people that you actually want to be winning with. I'm going to let this go class.
Woo!
You are not tricking winners. You are losing credibility with winners. Please learn how powerful humility is. If you've been enjoying getting away with not being humble, I promise you, when you look around the circle of the people it's working on, it's not the greatest circle you can be in. This is very imperative. Please understand this. You can have unbelievable ambition, confidence for days, gusto and competitiveness, all of it. That is not in conflict with humility. You can balance these seemingly 2 opposite things because in fact, they are far from opposite. They are tremendous partners in crime. End state, emotionally, for so many of you that I dream of, is deep confidence with overwhelming humility. And I hope you learn that humility is not soft. Humility is fucking strength.
Woo!
Hey Zach, can you come out here? I have a question. Is this the last character slide? Oh wait, I'll speak about being unwavering. who I love, who I think is badass and looks weird as shit. But I decided to give a little love. Thank you. Let's hear the sound!
Woo!
My friends, please be unwavering in whatever you decide to do after this conference. Full tilt. Do not bend. Do not listen. Man, did so many of you lie and say, but they were saying, who is they? Who the fuck is who the fuck is they? I'm trying to find out. I need to find fucking they and kill those motherfuckers. All day in the fucking sun. They say, they who? Like these, they said this won't work. I'm like, who are they? Like, I'm like, they're fucking losers. Why are you listening to them?
Woo!
Forget the whole fucking talk. Forget this whole talk. Promise me one thing. From now on, when someone's telling you some shit that isn't fully landing with you, that's against what you want, please take a step back, pun intended, and look at them. If you don't want to be like them, they should be the last people you're listening to. Woo!
Woo!
They're not like us, right, bro?
That's right.
Thank you, my guy. Love you, bro. Listen. Thank you, bro. Listen to me. You are all listening to a lot of they, and almost always they are losing, and they just want you to lose too.
Yes.
They may
Misery
not
loves
realize
company.
it. I don't know if you've heard it. It's called misery
Loves company. Yep.
Yeah.
Said it.
My friends, you've got to stop listening to they, and you need to lean into being unfucking wavering.
Woo!
I really want this for you. Like, of course I want to build a digital collectible business, an NFT business, and this, boy, I want a lot of things, but I'm a selfless framework of my life. I want this so bad for you, so please listen to these words, but most importantly, the number one thing, and I'll leave with this, and then I know there's a couple of questions of like, what happens next? I'll address that before I leave here. And please come and keep me. The number one thing I heard in mind, number one, was, Gary, I was waiting to get up here, and I thought about what I was going to ask you, and all 28 things that came to my mind since I've been flying out here while I was in line, I already know what you're going to say. I was just going through the fucking motions out there. You knew. You like that one? You like that record, right? That's what happened with us? I remember. And that triggered the final thing I want to tell you at Become 3. You know. You know. You're just using me for a little courage, a little push, but you know. So if you want to make this whole journey fruitful, do the thing you know. Just do the thing you know. We must eradicate fear. Fear is the currency of our society. It's what politicians use, it's what companies use, it's what news use, it's what parents use, it's what the people that don't love you use. Fear is the poison of our society. And I ask all of you to take the energy of this and bring a little ounce of kryptonite elimination of fear from Beacon, from this weekend, and start with yourself, because you can't help anybody if you're not good.
Woo!
as you can imagine, me too, I get it. But I'm really, as you all know, I'm trying to go on my own journey of being more canvas. Garyvee 7 years ago would have succumbed to that pressure. I mean it. I would have just done it, and I would have figured it out, and it might have been detrimental and all that stuff. But I'm really working on my own journey too. And I've been very honest and vulnerable about candor being a problem. And that's because I don't want to disappoint people. And disappointing this whole collective would be devastating. I've fulfilled the obligation of the VCon access through Series 1. And so I feel good about that. I think you all know I'm also going to work on VFriends Forever. And so I don't feel like I want to come up here on stage and say things that I don't have figured out, or just, figure it out later. All the shit that has normally in my life put me in a very bad spot. And so that's where I'm at this point. I want to be honest with you that I've really thought through how, and there's a lot to think through. So many of you, and I'm watching Twitter and Discord and all this, so many people want to know what's happening with the NFTs. They talk about what we're doing with the physical collectibles. I sit here vulnerable and say, look, I don't know if you see what's going on. There's NFT artists suing the SEC. We're in an election year. We have no clarity on law. I am stuck, like every other NFT project, to have clarity of knowing what to do. And so I sit and I be adaptable, and I'm on this, and I'm working on this. And I'm working on it forever, and you never say never, you're adaptable. But, I am where I'm at this point, and I will keep you updated. So what I can speak about, though, is some of the things that I've been able to make a decision on. So let's go to the next slide.
Hey!
Yeah, fuck yes, right, brother. I got you, get that? Look, the reason I can put that on the slide is, as you can imagine, now that the NFT has been obligated, we also have, as many of you know, many different 2025 things going on, from book games and other things. There's obviously Series 2 and some things of that nature. To be honest with you, there's also a lot I've learned in the 3 years of doing VCon. This was a fun year because, as we know, we changed the format pretty drastically. First 2 years, football stadiums, mid-markets. This is one of the biggest markets in the US, different format. Obviously, for a lot of you, there were so many things you liked about this format versus the others, and I'm sure there's plenty of things you liked from others. It's what's cool. As a matter of fact, back to adaptability and practicality, my favorite thing of my opening remarks was reading all the people that were saying, oh, Gary's not as excited about the cartoons because I've mentioned that they might fail or we might have to take 4 times at it. And I was laughing at those comments because no, that's just what a practical operator always does. You just always know the truth. There's a 2% chance that you have a hit when you do TV shows. That's just real life. I'm not going to sit here and be delusional. What you've all known from me, when I said 99% of NFT projects are going to fail, I said it, and why I said, what I always told you was, but I could die. But I knew that if I didn't die, that I will work on this fucking thing for the rest of my life until I can get it to the fucking place I want.
Yeah! Woo!
Because Brandy knows, when I said my rest of my life, she's like, right. She's like 60, 70 years older than me. She's a fucking Brandy's laughing at you guys when you're like, I'm 30 and I'm lost. She's like, shit, I got fucking underwear that's 80 years old. Brandy, you know. Fuck.
Fuck!
This is the last lot more. What I can absolutely tell you is that VCon going forward will be incredibly grounded, heavily in whatever form, and there's 4 to 5 different things I'm trying to think through. But Series 1 is the fucking alpha right now.
Woo!
The only thing I'm pretty sure about, and I'm willing to share this, is I don't think we're going to issue a ticket to the Series 1 holder. The Series 1 is it. So Series 1 is the fucking alpha, and I'll continue to make it the alpha. Obviously, I need to get clarity on so many things, as you can imagine. I'm sure you know that there's an election in November. That will help get some clarity. And so I'm an operator. I know that people pontificate on Twitter and just go, oh, I get this. And I read plenty of hyperbolized micro mistakes during the fucking excitement. But in the macro, this project means the fucking world to me. I work every day on it, and I just appreciate all of you so much in a way that you cannot imagine.
Look at me, number 9.
Number 9. Like a dozen a day.
I'd like to see you more often. Like, this is so fun. I know it's once a year, it's a big commitment. There's so many things going through, but what I can tell you firmly is that this is not the last we've done.
Woo!
Is that Series 1 NFT will have the leverage for future VCon. And in fact, now that I'm done with my opening obligations, one of the things if I'd be lying if I didn't tell you, I'll go there because I feel comfortable that it will play out. I also really care that the spectacular holders
Woo!
have it play out. So there's a lot to do. I'm excited about it. I don't want anyone speculating off of this, up, down, left, right. This is not financial advice. It's none of that shit. There's going to be more VCon. I didn't even say cons. I'm committed to that. But this is not the last VCon. And that's predominantly because, fuck, it's fun to be with you.
Woo! Woo!
I'm going to show this last slide because it's practical. You know, I watched very carefully people talking about like how we're navigating. I'm just going to make this very simple. Besides the utility, it's incredibly important that the NFT is correct. We've watched people go from not even knowing what defense is, to watching the Fanatics live, to never owning a trading card, to buying a trading card, and then graduating into the ultimate collectible, usually with a Series 2 in between, to a Series 1. All of what you're seeing here is the most important part of my mission to actually get the collectible to the highest level. If I don't do all these things and do them well, then people aren't going to fall in love with the characters. There are people today that have been here since day 1 that maybe heard a word or two or sentence about some of the characters that were flashed up that feel slightly different about the character just in a couple of words. It's called storytelling. Why do you love Batman? The fuck do you give a shit about Inspector Gadget for? This is very exciting for me and very imperative, and I just want you all to understand how this, in parallel to anything we're able to do on the blockchain as we continue to get clarity, is the 1-2 punch of how we're going to build this IP. I want to thank all of you from the bottom of my heart. The way you all showed up this weekend was insanity. All the outside sponsors and speakers, my phone, Ling, Zach, everybody involved in this conference, the amount of text that we've got from human beings that have gone around the world and spoken, from brands that sponsor everything, the collective response to how you've all interacted with each other and the humanity and kindness was overwhelming. And for that, I thank you from the bottom of my heart for showing up the way you did this weekend. And I really would love for you to clap for each other because you probably deserve it.
Woo!
I think we will have an incredible party to send this off this year. I think if everybody that's here right now shows up tonight, this place will be absolutely rocking. We're gonna get real fucking lit, my God.
Let's go! Woo!
So I asked you to go quickly shower, change, get a quick bite. Please get here for Sweetie and T-Pain. They can't wait to come down, hug it out, final kisses, handshakes, hugs, pleasantries. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for another year where I believe that all of you put deposits down on the fucking mission, which is people in this community, and hopefully one day all 8 billion of us are going from strangers to acquaintances, acquaintances to friends, and friends to family.